cosmetic tattooing. That's another massive one. Like people get like their lips tattooed, like the outlines and eyebrows and all of this sort of stuff. I mean, that's a really big growing sort of category here. And, you know, they would have a lot of the same sort of, you know, like furniture type products as, you know, like other salons as well. So there's a lot of small businesses in this space, and sometimes small businesses are great to market to because they kind of buy like retail customers in terms of how like they go onto search engines to find products and all of this sort of thing.
We recently put out a video of 7 dropshipping niches that you're kind of sleeping on for 2025. You can check that out here. But today, we're going to give you 3 more dropshipping niches that people are sleeping on in 2025. John and I have a combined 20 plus years of continuous high ticket dropshipping experience. We've seen thousands of niche market ideas at this point, and we've seen what works and what doesn't work. And when him and I stumble on something that we find interesting, we kind of want to share here on the podcast, right? So most gurus that you're going to find online regurgitate terrible ideas like e-bikes or kitchen appliances or outdoor furniture. But we're going to give you the real deal, what actually works right now, but it's not going to work forever. So let's talk about what's working right now, what we stumbled into literally right before this call. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, look, so I think the first thing to say if people haven't seen us or listened to us before is that the right way to start in 2025 is with high-ticket dropshipping. Okay, so, you know, a lot of what gets talked about online is low-ticket dropshipping, you know, dropshipping from places like AliExpress or Temu or CJ dropshipping or any of these sort of things. So that's just the wrong way to go in the first place. So to get that out of the way, when we talk about high-ticket dropshipping, we're talking about products that are $1,000 plus, you know, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000. They ship from local suppliers to people in the same company. So you've got the regular shipping times that people are used to. The products are high quality. Returns are very low. Customers are happy. And you're building a brand. You're building a valuable asset while you do it. And so in 2025, that's absolutely the best way to do dropshipping. Now, even within high-ticket dropshipping, though, a lot of people get niche selection wrong. They try and think of the products first. So they're thinking about like, oh, here's a product. I'm going to build my business around just that product or just one type of product, you know. So, you know, like e-bikes. Oh, I'm going to have an e-bike store. Now, e-bikes is a terrible idea. And having an e-bike store for anybody who wants to ride an e-bike is also a terrible idea. The better way to do it is to think about, and the way that you can build a stronger business here is to think about the customer first. Like, who's going to be the customer of the business? What is their hobby, their passion, their interest? Could be their business that they're running or looking to start. What is the thing that they do? Think about that first, because that automatically leads you to what are the things that they need to do that, right? And so the things that they need to do that, you're going to find multiple things. You're not going to get stuck on just one product or one product category. You're going to come up with a range of different products, which means you're going to have a range of different suppliers. You'll have more diversity in your business, more ways to make sales, ways to make more money to grow your business. And you're going to end up with a better business that can last for longer, is less open to competition, and so on. And so when we think about finding a niche for a dropshipping business, and you absolutely want to have a niche business, we think about like who's going to be the customer of the business first. And we want to find those interest group, passion groups, businesses that people have. And so I'm going to start. The first one we want to throw out to you here is one that kind of falls into 2 of these categories. It's one that follows a passion that a lot of retail customers have out there, but also there are people who run businesses in this space. And the first idea, this is one that's been on my personal niche list almost ever since I started high-ticket dropshipping 11 years ago. I've never done it myself, and that is woodworking. So building a site around the woodworking, you know, it can be a hobby for some people or a passion for some people, but there are also businesses that manufacture products from wood. And so there's a whole bunch of pieces of equipment, ancillary products like furniture, storage products, etc., that either people use at their home when they're doing woodworking or businesses have in their place of business if they're making things out of wood. And so things like routing tables, workbenches, lathes, drum sanders, dust extractors, tool sharpening machines, different types of joiners like domino joiners, all of these products can be multiple thousands. So if you look at things like routing tables, we're talking about products that are $3,000, $4,000. Lathes can be anywhere, if you go into the commercial things, anywhere up to $20,000 plus. But there's also lower priced options of those. And so the thing I really like about this is not only is it like it's a very definable activity that the customer is undertaking. So there's going to be a lot of content you can do for a site like this as well. But there's a lot of different products that the same either business or person owns. So if you sell somebody a workbench, you've got a pretty good chance that down the track you might also sell them a dust extraction machine, or something else that they're going to put within their workshop, or some tool storage. There's probably like 10 different high ticket products here that over time I could see selling to the same customer. And that's one of the reasons why we go for these niches that are like built around a business or a hobby or a passion, rather than just going after one product category. Because if I say my business is going to be, I'm going to be routingtables.com and that's all I'm going to sell, I'm less likely to have all the other stuff on, and then all I can sell somebody is a routing table. And I'm only going to sell that to them once. Whereas if you have these multiple product categories, which are still within the definition of a niche, you can sell 5 different things to the same person, which either increases your average order value or increases your rate of repeat business, both of which are 2 of the main ways that you grow any business. And so that's a good business. Like I say, I've had this on my list for a long time, and I know there are businesses out there doing it, but I actually don't know anybody who's done this really well yet. And so I think there's a good opportunity out there for somebody to come along and really nail this one.
You know how when you name your kids, you think back and like maybe you had this teacher you hated or some kid you hated in school, and there's like 0 chance you're going to name your kid that name, right? Because it's going to make you think of them. Yeah. I don't know why, but I had an old neighbor. We lived in town, which makes it even worse, who had a lot of this equipment, and it was so fucking annoying. All day long from across the street. And so there's 0 chance I could ever do this industry. It does look good. Like everything kind of lines up. I would love to see somebody do this well. I'm out on that one. But all right, here's one that I am in on though. I kind of named this like wellness-ish B2B type product. I'm not really sure what to say about it. I've certainly seen businesses around like you, John, but I've never seen anyone kind of attack it in this way, which is there are a lot of different small businesses that do things centered around wellness. So you might think immediately, when you say wellness, which is, kind of the hot thing du jour lately, saunas and cold plunges and UV light and all that stuff. I'm talking more, think of salons, think of mani-pedi places, think of barbers, think of like wellness retreat centers, potentially salons like the makeup side of this, or I don't even know what you call it. This is going to put me way out of touch here. When they shape your eyebrows or pull out your eyebrows or do your eyelashes or all that stuff. I'm not sure what you would call that stuff, but there are chairs. There is physical things that need to exist in these spaces, and someone has to sell these things, right? And so like I could see you being the place where you are the place that all of these companies can come to. They're all kind of similar, right? And you can carry the products that they would carry. Again, think of barber chairs or whatever those eyelash tables are called, makeup chairs, tables, the desks they use, the front desk, the mani-pedi chairs, the massage. You could have massage chairs in some of these wellness centers. Mm-hmm. Lockers would be another good one. Again, if they have a place almost like a gym where you would have a place for someone to go change, you might have these in these wellness centers, things like that. I actually think you could probably come up with 10 to 20 more products that they have in this place. I'm just not super familiar, other than, your boy does keep his fingernails and his toenails done pretty well. But I don't look around too much while I'm in there. I just get my mani-pedi and get out. So I think there's a lot of products here, John, that not that I haven't seen someone sell before. Certainly, I'm not sure I've seen someone attack this angle and be kind of almost like the surplus store for this.
Yeah, definitely. Another one, cosmetic tattooing. That's another massive one. Like, people get like their lips tattooed, like the outlines and eyebrows and all of this sort of stuff. That's a really big growing sort of category here. And, they would have a lot of the same sort of, like furniture type products as, like other salons as well. So that's another one. Yeah, I think you're right. I think there definitely is an opportunity here. And there's a lot of small businesses in this space. And sometimes small businesses are great to market to because they kind of buy like retail customers in terms of how like they go onto search engines to find products and all of this sort of thing, and they're usually more ready just to buy from a retailer rather than looking for big wholesale suppliers and things like that. So, and I think there's a lot of there's some really fun stuff you could do here around doing like starter business packages and things like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're starting like a 3-person salon. Here's 3 chairs, and here's, this equipment, and here's that equipment. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff you could do with these products. So
there's probably tools on top of that too, right? Like I mostly mentioned physical hard goods.
Yeah.
A lot of these industries, they're also going to be utilizing a lot of tools to do their job. And so I think, honestly, I had this idea for our business of mine, John, and it's almost too big of an idea. Like there's a lot to do here. And so this would be a big undertaking for somebody, but I think if you're willing to put in the time and the effort here, this is a big market with a lot of opportunity.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Number 3 here, the third niche that we're throwing your way that somebody needs to go and jump on and make happen, because there's a great opportunity here, is commercial printing equipment, I would say, or printers. So once again, we're primarily a B2B niche here, but there's also going to be a lot of kind of like amateur producers that are maybe making things for like Etsy or, other small businesses. Maybe they're doing it from their garage. This is the sort of business that you could run from home. So we're talking here about things like large format UV printers, sublimation printers for, printing sublimated designs onto fabric, cake or food printers, vinyl plotters and cutters, and the list goes on. There is plenty more products here. This is a whole group of, I think, sort of like subcategories here around printing equipment. And when you look at the price points for some of these, it gets pretty staggering, actually. I think we were looking before, and you've got any prices running from the low thousands right into the multiple of 10,000s for some of the larger printing products that are obviously used by businesses that are doing things commercially. And so once again, I think for the people or the businesses that make things, there is a huge. There are just so many products. We've talked about some of them on the podcast before in these sort of episodes. I think our last episode about this, but we just found a whole nother group. There is not a lot of competition here at the moment. There's definitely brands. There's definitely suppliers. There's some really attractive price points to sell at in this particular niche. So, I mean, that's one that gets me excited particularly. If I was starting a high ticket dropship, if I was starting at scratch today, I reckon these are the sort of niches I'd go after, like the kind of B2B, but also a little bit of B2C. I love them. I think they're great.
Stuff that gets people thinking. Like, what isn't seen on this podcast is the hour John and I spent before this sharing each other's screens, landing on random websites who took us down another rabbit hole and found another category. And like, have you ever heard of this product? I think too many people, when they are trying to decide, what to sell, right? They settle on a product rather than a person, and they only go an inch deep, right? And so, can you go, an inch deep and a mile wide? They come up with the products that everybody thinks of. If you could just take some time to go down the rabbit hole and just spend time searching, you're going to stumble into stuff. Some of the stuff that didn't make the cut for this episode was pretty wild. I didn't know you could sell paraglider motors. I had no idea. We stumbled into Bitcoin mining equipment, and we were unsure whether some of these people were stocking it or were they not stocking it. But I would have never thought of that. And I'm as big of a Bitcoin bobo as you'll get. And so that kind of shocked me. And I just want people to go down a rabbit hole and just spend time on Google and type in a type of product, or use ChatGPT. That's what we were doing as well, as having ChatGPT come up with ideas, go into Google and searching what are some of these things, then going down a rabbit hole of finding, whatever, as you said, routingtabledirect.com, and what is this? What else do they sell? What does that look like? Oh, this is a funny rabbit hole. And I think if you do that, you're going to end up in a place that's less crowded, less competition, but also equally passionate people who, need to be served. And that's what we're doing here when you run a business is you're serving people who have problems. So we've had a lot of people on the show who have done this exact thing. And I'd like to shout them out here. So I don't know who comes to mind for you right away, but for me, I think of Holly's episode every time I think of one of these. If you want to see what winning looks like when it comes to high ticket dropshipping, Holly's a great example. I'm sure we'll put all of these in the show notes, and I'm sure our producers will put something up on the screen. But who comes to mind for you, John, when you think of what does this look like to actually do this right?
Yeah, definitely. Like people we've had on the podcast. So you can go and listen to Ben's story. Ben started at scratch, no experience, 17-year career, kind of getting over that work, not really challenged by it anymore. He started at scratch. He went from nothing with no experience, no relevant experience or anything, found a niche, going through the process that we've kind of mentioned here. And he went to 1.65 million in sales in just 12 months, quit his 17-year career. And now he's doing his high-ticket dropshipping business, full-time and continuing to grow it. We talked about John Grant on this once again. John was working in breweries before he got started. No relevant experience, didn't know anything about selling online. And, he went from scratch and did I think 750,000 in sales in his first 9 months in business. You mentioned Holly. She went from, once again, established career, wanted to do something else, went from 0 to 500,000 in sales in 5 months. The list goes on. You can find plenty more episodes along those lines on the show. So that's what's possible here, right? I mean, if you're somebody who's thinking you want to change things up in life, maybe you're feeling a bit stagnant in your job and you're looking for more. Maybe you're somebody who wants to add a side hustle. You want to make an extra $3,000 a month in money in your pocket. Well, the first step is coming up with a niche idea, right? This is the first big step. And we've just given you 3 that you could go out and start doing today, right? The next step is to learn the high-ticket dropshipping process. Like once you know your niche, what's the next steps? How do you go and get suppliers? How do you get customers to your store, right? And so we've got a free training on that. If you go to dropshipbreakthrough.com/go, there is a free training there that is going to walk you through the process of starting your own high-ticket dropshipping business. All right, so over the course of an hour or so, you're going to learn the first 5 steps that you need to take. And you've actually got the first one done for you on this video. There's some niche ideas there, but in that training, I'm going to show you how to find other ideas as well. So if you're ready to make that change, don't sleep on this. Go to dropshipbreakthrough.com/go and start taking the first steps today.